At the time this video was posted, arena points just reset. This video is 69, yes, the number 69, tips and tricks to help you get the champ. I decided that I'm going to cover every single area in Fortnite. The most basic, medium, advanced, whatever style or whatever type of player you are, there will be some tips in here to help you along with your grind. Just so you know, this video is timestamped with early game, mid game, late game tips, and the last section is like miscellaneous, where there's like everything I can possibly think of, just randomly throwing stuff at you. First up, much love to today's sponsor. The sponsor of this video goes to Buff. What you might not know about them is that they recently just partnered with NRG. You can get things like free skins, game keys, and I'm talking all different types of gift cards. This is all for free too, and you get it by playing your favorite game. So you play and do the challenges it tells you to do in the game, and you earn buff points to spend on whatever you want. It might sound too good to be true, but it's not. I've even downloaded it myself, and I can assure you that it's completely safe because it's an authorized app of Overwolf. The power it takes to run is so small that no matter what PC you have, it doesn't affect it. Don't be worried about the games that Buff connects with, because they have practically every hot game on the market ready to play. What I like about Buff personally is how active they are in making changes. They constantly look to improve, and they now support video recording highlights where they can clip the best moments for you. When you download Buff using my link in the month of June, you get 100 buff points instead of 30. Click the link down below and check out Buff for yourself. Starting out, I'm going to mention everything early game, off spawn related, exactly what's going through my head, literally all the tips and tricks I can possibly think about that are relevant. Here's a bunch of things you can do. The place where you're going to lose the most points getting the champs is the off spawn. So chances are, if you're constantly struggling, it's where you're landing. The most RNG involved in Fortnite is when you're landing off spawn. My general rule of thumb for getting the champs, if I'm playing safe when I land, I'll avoid all fighting as much as possible until I know I at least have 50 shield and around 200 to 300 mats. Rolling up to a fight with anything less is almost all the time complete grief. If you get pushed out of your landing spot, you should not care. If there's lots of people landing there and I'm really worried about my points, I'll veer off and then just try and shams loot along the way around the outskirts of wherever I landed. There's way more than enough loot off spawn to just kind of shams loot around the POI, so that way by the time you get to the mid game, you'll have plenty of loot. If I'm dead serious about surviving, that's what I'll do. Stop landing at the same spot every single game thinking that something's gonna change. I know I'm guilty of this myself, but I'll land tilted every single game, even when things are going absolute horribly, just because it's the center of the map and I'm impatient. If you need to, literally land at a back edge location just so you could survive the off spawn. If you're one that lands at the same spot every single time and you constantly keep dying, your mental is gonna go right in the gutter and you're gonna want to rage off even faster than you normally do. When you drop at wherever the hell you are, if you're not a great fighter, don't be the first to fight. Usually what you want to do is rat around until you hear shooting, then you can either third party or leave. Me personally, I always like to roll up no matter what, because I'm always trying to improve some aspect of my fighting and just be the one to just get quick mats. If you know you got a decent amount of stuff to loot, usually what I'm gonna do is run from chest to chest to chest. Every time I open one, I get 30 mats in the process, and this is exactly how I quick loot while still gaining awareness of like other players rotating in from other spots and third partying me, so that way I'm getting a mixture of getting my loot and mats up while also gaining awareness. Every single time I'm landing in arena, what I'm trying to do is do a little scouting, kind of curving my landing a little, so that way I can kind of see where other players land and I can figure out what I want to do. Off spawn, what I like to do is get the lowest landing first as best I can, and then usually based off that, that's where I'll look to land and get loot. So normally I aim for the left side of tilted, but if I don't get it, I'll just veer off and go to the next closest building. In one lump sum, to recap off spawn fighting, it essentially goes in an order just like this: basic weapons, nothing special, shields, mats, and the whole time you should be working towards getting the high ground to get better positioning. If you got good positioning off spawn in arena, most people aren't going to have enough mats to kind of even get to you in the first place, so it makes you more safe. That was rather quick, I know, but when it comes to off spawn fighting and landing, that's all that goes into it, and the rest is what type of guns you get when you hit the ground. When it comes to mid game, it gets slightly more complicated. Someone asked me what's the first thing I do when I want to fight someone. Usually this is how it goes. As I'm ramp rushing them, I'm usually going to start spraying them so that way I can get them to stop or even fall so I can get the free height. So if I solidify the height first, I'm usually going to drop down on a wall and box fight them. You need to grab the high ground first, because if not, they're going to sit on top and just spray up for years. If you want to gain points when it comes to arena fights, don't be that guy who rolls up on the biggest build fight in the area. Literally all you got to do is just keep walking until you find a more optimal fight. What's the best fight in arena to take? It's when you can get an initial crack on someone but be close enough to them so that you can keep pressure and get on their wall rather quick. So when I'm down bad for loot or anything, I'll keep trying to snake around and just go around the entire map if I need to, so I can find the most optimal fight. If you need to, sometimes you might have to let players go right by you. Here's a really safe way to take pieces to a box when you're right above it. I do this all the time and it works super well as long as you stay behind the window edit. Once I get to the floor, what I'll do is usually spray my SMG and not get too close to the window edit so I can have enough space to take the floor and still be safe. Even when you try and hit the floor with your pickaxe, it's a little difficult, so most of the time I'll use my spray weapon to try and take that and just try and stay behind the right hand peak as much as possible. Fighting anyone mid game, no matter what the scenario is, you will get third partied until your setup is broken into little pieces. In today's meta, make sure that you're blocking your angles as much as you possibly can. If you're the one that gets smacked with a heavy shot mid game, all you're gonna do is full tarp away just like I'm showing you on screen right now. Then as you get pressured, you're going to look to get a pre-fire shot or a counter shot off. This way you can heal back up. Never try to 50-50 if possible, because the player you're going against is going to expect you to do that. If the player's any good, you're going to die. So sometimes if the player isn't the best, as you're tarping away, you're going to be able to get heals off and just try and play the running game as much as possible, using almost all your mats if you need to, because if you don't, you're going to die with them. Quick tip, make sure you're W keying while being aware of your ammo count. If you're the player that uses all their ammo before they get into someone's face, you better have really good accuracy, because sometimes even I save one bullet in my pump to get in someone's face, I miss the shot, now I have to reload right in front of them and I die. Don't be jumpy and nervous about it. Try your best at reacting faster to place a quick wall and stop the bleeding once you get shot. I feel like lots of players below Champions League, when they get shot, they sit there like a dead fish while I'm laying 1, 2, maybe even 3 to 4 bullets in them by the time I get to box fight them. Be ready for any and all players to run straight at your face. This meta, if we've learned anything in Arena, the play most players are looking for is for you to reset a wall and they take that SMG and shove it straight in the place that you don't want. How you should be playing fights in Arena is to play as patient as possible until you get a crack. Once you get a crack or something massive, that's when you can afford to be as almost aggressive as you want. I'd say one of the first steps to getting better at fighting is step 1, learn to get the crack, and step 2, how to avoid being completely shot at when you're being really aggressive. With experience, you're going to realize what to do and what not to do. Nowadays, when you chop someone down in Arena, they're going to drop down on you before you even have a chance to finish. Honestly, in most cases, you should probably swing around 1 to 2 times, and then you can almost full look up at them and just expect them to drop down, or you can maybe use that time as they're dropping for you to go back up. For some reason, no matter how much of a bot you are, everyone is super aware of getting chopped down now, which is good. In serious games, one good tip that I can give to you is to not run around with your pickaxe out. That 1 second of holding your AR or SMG out to get that initial beam will help you get way more damage than you're probably used to. It's going to give you a slight advantage when you go to box fight people. Try to remember basic information about what you're rolling up to in the mid game. Are they scuffed? Do you have the health advantage? Jumping into a fight with no thought is the quickest way to go back to the lobby. This is something I'm always thinking of when I'm in a mid game fight. Try your best to be balanced at offense and defense. Don't be on the same wall for a long time. Constantly try to switch up how you're attacking the box and try to predict where they're running out to. It's not a waste of mats. It puts a lot more pressure up than you think. Any mid game fight you find yourself in, even when I'm playing defense, do yourself a favor, create multiple boxes to give yourself room to breathe in, and do not just sit in one box. It's way less stressful and makes the whole process of fighting 10 times easier. So this is the part of the video where I'm going to be listing off all the end game tips and tricks that I use in stacked Arena games, but we all know that Arena does not have stacked end games. It used to be like that back in the day, but I don't think Arena will ever get like that unless it gets a complete rework in the future. So with that said, I'm going to give you guys all the end game tips and tricks, specifically looking at Arena and not actual scrim. I'm not going to be talking about any crazy tarping strats or nothing like that. People end game in Arena, they play super weird. For the most part, you can almost never predict it. I feel like in every game, you're going to have people sitting in their 1x1s, looking behind their window edit and their cone peak, just dinking anything that moves with their AR. Players with absolute zero skill, you're going to be seeing them sitting on the high ground, boxed up in a 1x1, shooting their AR from across the zone. Stay ahead as much as you can, and for the most part, you don't want to be on the back edge while the zone is moving. It's happened to me even when there was only 3 kids alive. If I'm fighting on the edge while the other 2 people are kind of front side zone, it's going to be a complete grief nation for you on the backside, even if you do have a lot of mats. For the most part, even if you're a top tier pro, if you're getting sprayed at by tons of people, you simply cannot avoid it. Height in almost any endgame Arena lobby is easy as anything to get. You barely even have to try to take height from someone in Arena. If it's a small zone, all you got to do is run to the front side, crank up, and just grab the height. Even as a duo or a trio, the same thing still applies. Just be careful at the time of making this, there's no shockwaves or bouncers, so you don't need to worry about that on height, but just be aware of that if they did add something back to the game. Maybe 1 to 3 out of 10 Arena games that it will actually reach moving zones. For the most part, Arena is so dead that you almost never have to worry about being in a moving zone situation. They're long over before that even happens. And if it does reach that point, there's probably only 1 to 2 players alive, so it's super manageable. This is the part of the video where it's the more mechanical part. These are the kind of things that are going to help you with your Arena grind that don't really have to deal with early, middle, and late game Arena. Before even hopping into Arena, warm yourself up every time. I never like to play Arena cold. It's just a miserable experience. Whether it's an aim trainer, building in a map, 1v1, do something, because if not, first couple games are going to be a train wreck. Sounds really silly. I know this might go against the whole video. Stop caring about your Arena points. The second you don't care, it's going to take pressure off you to do well, which is going to make you play better. How you get to thinking like this is literally just playing a lot of Arena. The more you play, the more you're going to get used to being under that pressure. And eventually something's going to click and you're going to realize that I don't care anymore. Oh, and this is a big one. Never be afraid to take a fight, especially in Arena. If you're not in champs, just know that people's ego are sky high. So chances are they're not going to let you leave anyway. You just need to full fight them. them. Don't think about trying to run. It's going to make you play bad. Pay attention to the best game modes for arena points. Back then, to get the points the fastest way possible, it used to be playing solos. You got more placement points and more points per kill compared to duos and trios. By the time you're watching this, it could potentially be a brand new system, but all you have to do is just ask a streamer. And if you don't know any streamers, maybe KenBeans, he's a nice guy. Link down below. He also reads chat a lot when he's not playing competitive. Playing solos all the time as a bad fighter is something I recommend to almost everybody. But if your goal is to specifically get to champs, you're better off either finding a friend or finding someone to queue with just randomly in the matchmaking. If you're scared to push people in arena because you don't want to lose points, a subscriber mentioned this to me. Go into pubs and practice getting the pushing mentality down. They said specifically themselves that they built up a huge amount of confidence this way. Might be worth a shot. Someone in my comments said, and I agree with this, trying to get the champs, just have patience. If you're really trying, tell yourself that you're not going to get bored and just key and throw your games away. Not gonna lie, when I really struggled back in the day to get the champs, this is kind of what I did, and it threw a lot of my game. When you build fight anyone in arena, to make sure you have mats by the end of the fight, just quickly look at what material they're building in and just switch to another one. I know it's self-explanatory, but I can surely bet that most people don't even realize they're not doing this. No matter what comes out on the game, I would say in almost any single meta on Fortnite, past, present, or future, you should probably carry 3 guns in arena. AR, Shoddy, SMG, in comp, it's a different story. But having an AR, especially this season, it's the absolute best to help you win more fights. And you're most definitely going to be able to afford that and have that luxury because you're not going to be getting beamed rotating in like an end game scrim or something. Generally speaking, if you cannot fight for your life, you're going to want to hold the quickest healing items in the games like minis, floppers, and splash. If you're not good at tarping away to heal and counter peeking, then this is definitely your best bet. Right now, it's not in the game. We're talking about impulse nades, rifts. By the time you're watching this, there can definitely be some new type of rotation or something to just quickly get out of a fight. Items like these can completely reset a fight or help you get away in any situation. When the shockwaves and riftigos were in arena not too long ago, that was people's go-to move to escape a fight and just drag it out. I think it's safe to say that if you really struggle to get the champs, your fighting is definitely what lacks in games. I would work on practicing your mechs in a different way than normal and creative to work on specifically things that you're not comfortable doing. Slowly but surely, you're going to see improvements in arena because you're not going to be second guessing the most fundamental things on the game. In Fortnite, the game is all about using everything in your inventory before you die. When I play against players that are really good, sometimes by the end of it, we're both going to be really low because we've been playing angles that whole fight. We've been tarping away trying to heal, and usually in fights like that, both players are really good at counter peeking. So that definitely teaches you how to play your life, and that's exactly what players need when they're trying to get the champs. So in arena, you just got to know if you're not in champs, you are definitely going to be in players' lobbies who are in champs. The reason that is because if champs players only played with champs players, the games would take 10 minutes to queue. So Fortnite's mix is to mix all different types of players together so that the games queue fast. If I for some reason lost all my points and fell out of champs by playing solo arena, I would instantly start playing with a friend to carry me and get my points up. Not everyone has friends to do that with, but the other option is either A, to take a break, or B, find a crazy person to carry. If you're trying to get the champs, the best times to play arena is in the morning. The least sweatiest people are going to be grinding at that time. Trust me on that. At nighttime, I'd say like anything past 9 p.m. That's when it's going to be a sweat fest. When I say every, I literally mean every single pro does not play arena in the morning. It's super rare. I've been playing Fortnite and watching Twitch streams for a very long time. I think I've only seen one player grind arena in the morning, and that's Sticks, but he doesn't do it that much. If you're struggling in the game, make sure you're not gaming with no food or water in you. That's the fastest way to make you impatient, do stupid plays, and then rage. Even when I have the most annoying thing happen in the world to me, if I just got on the game, I'm gonna queue next. If I'm 4 hours in though, I'm probably getting off because I'm either thirsty or hungry. I would say I guess having a drop spot in arena could be a good thing, having a place where you know you want to land. But in general, unless you're landing at the rave cave, you can drop at almost any POI, land outskirts, not be the first to fight, and maybe if you want to, just leave with a chance to win the game. In arena especially, there's so many places where if you just went to a really far POI, there's probably no one going there besides maybe 1 or 2 if you're lucky. Tendencies of arena players. You will know in 0.5 seconds of shooting someone whether or not they're going to fight you. You're either the player that runs from anyone that takes a shot at you, or it's one of those where you get into a decent sweaty build fight until one of you gets cracked and then you just put the pressure up. It's one or the other. For the most part, there's no in between. You either have the biggest ego in arena or you do not care and you're just going to keep on running and try and get those placement points. Practice relaxing and thinking slower while you fight so you don't mess up, do the wrong thing, or make the wrong edit. Try to see past the edits that you make in games. Ask yourself, if I make this edit, what's going to happen next? Really good players can do that so fast without thinking because they have so much experience on the game. Someone who's not in champs, they definitely need to know that. If you're not in champs, learn how to completely full tarp with stairs. It has a lot to do with knowing how to tarp away and heal. And by now this deep into Fortnite, if you're trying to get the champs, you definitely need to know how to do this move. I would say that the safest play style to get the champs is to act like you're playing on a different server. Don't key anyone that you wouldn't key with a higher ping. Just know that the hardest time to get the champs is when points reset. So chances are if you're watching this video when it's released, it's going to be harder for you to get the champs at the start because all the pros and all the people, they're trying to grind the champs so that they can play the first week of the cash cups. Eventually, as the weeks go on, everything cools down, it gets a little easier. For the sake of your mental health, don't spend ages and ages looting. Just grab the necessities and get to the zone, or find someone to keep. The games where you have an uncontested POI, you loot the whole time, and then you die to the first person you see, that is the absolute worst. I don't wish that upon my worst enemy. And chances are you're probably not even going to use all the stuff that you spend hours trying to loot. Big thing for people not in champs. When you're playing team modes, communicate with your teammate on almost all the things that are happening during a fight. Even if it's something small like just saying you're reloading, it gives your teammates just little directions and little things to do so that you can time things at the exact same spot. It gives them a sense of direction. Just do yourself a favor. It's going to make you win more, but it's also really annoying if you're panicking while you're saying it. Make sure that you're relaxed when you calm stuff. That's what makes a good teammate. Non-champs players, they need to get their confidence up. Think about how bad you used to be compared to how much better you are now. The best piece of advice I can give you is to always act like you have everything you need to win that fight. Even in the worst cases, I try to trick my brain into thinking that. In a nutshell, Arena is all about ending fights as quickly as you can. If a fight's dragging out with a lot of builds used, the whole lobby is drawn to it like zombies, and third parties are already en route the second they heard that first shot. So if this constantly happens with you, you might want to brush up on your mechs or other type of fighting tips and tricks. So my best loadout for Arena is 3 guns and 2 heals. But I will say that you should always try and pick up a combat SMG over a Stinger SMG. I would say try to pick up a striker almost over any other shoddy, and then I would probably use an AUG as my AR. All of those things can change depending on what type of rarity you find throughout the game, but nevertheless, don't overthink it, because if you have a high enough rarity, you're going to be able to kill someone regardless. I've noticed that the people that are not in Champions League, some of the players have absolutely no idea how to build a basic box. Build it exactly how I'm doing it right now, with the walls first, then you're going to place the floor, then the cone, so that there's no extra builds placing by accident. When do you go for placement and when do you go for kills? Constantly try to get involved in fights if you're looking to get better at the game. But obviously you guys are here to gain arena points. If you desperately need the points, just play placement and call it that. The easiest way to play arena. Every single fight that you're going to get into, I would say that around 50% of the fights are going to be a lot about counter piece control. It's super important to learn how to do normal piece control by doing it in a way that makes you safe, but just know that the more you fight, the more you're going to understand the difference between counter piece control and normal piece control. Pretty much counter is when you're playing defense, and then the normal ones when you're playing offense. This is a general reminder that the most basic moves work on people in arena, especially if they're not in champ. Things like pre-firing, tarping away to heal, keeping height in a fight, or maybe even small box fight tips and tricks. It's all that basic stuff that you really need to keep in your head. So many players on the game can die to people who are worse than them. The way that happens is that these people have their gun out. Sometimes the best place is just let it happen and hit your shot. Having your gun out in a majority of situations on Fortnite, that's what's going to help you not build as much, not overthink, and just kill the person in the game, of course. Make sure you're focusing in on every single fight to go slower, and maybe even while you're doing retakes, take pauses throughout certain edits and maybe certain builds, so that way you can kind of gain more awareness and not just mindlessly key. Some of the best advice I can give you to make things easier on your arena life: play harder game modes on Fortnite. Stack scrims, competitive events, 2v2 zone wars, 1v1ing insanely cracked players. Anything that challenges you like crazy is definitely going to make arena a lot easier. Last final tip, if this video helped you out, check out my second channel, More Beans. It's going to be linked down below. We're almost at 10,000 subscribers, so anything helps. Really great way to support. By now you know, use code KenBeans in the shop. I'm telling you, without that I wouldn't be able to do this full time. Check out the merch link down below. I definitely need some water. My voice is shot. Drop a like on this video, do all that good stuff, hit the sub button. We just recently hit 250,000 subscribers. Little milestone, but I'm not celebrating too much because we got a lot of work to do. I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good one. Cheers.